This is a moment that I've been waiting for well over a week, actually well over 6 weeks, because I've known about this and didn't know if it was actually going to happen. You heard the song lately a little while ago, and you heard it over the course of the last week a bunch of times. It's been making people bat nuts crazy. Who is that song? I love the song. And then some people did a little forensics on it and found out part of the answer. And I'll go ahead and tell you this much. The name of the band is Brother Clyde.
Yeah.
I don't know that was as big of a secret, but the lead singer of Brother Clyde is on the line with us.
Yes, he is.
And let's please welcome to the show. He has been a mystery artist up until this point, sir. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Now, if you would, sir, please, as the lead singer and the man behind Brother Clyde, which has maybe the most interesting story of any band I've ever heard, would you mind introducing yourself to the Rockheads listening now?
Well, first of all, I loved your terminology, bat nut crazy. And bat nut crazy is something that only somebody that grew up in the Ohio River Valley would have heard. And I grew up just a little bit away from Riverfront Stadium.
Right on.
If that gives anybody any clues. And my hometown was Flatwoods, Kentucky.
All right, so now there's a couple more clues now. And you, sir? Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and do this if you don't mind. This is a pleasure for me to do, to introduce the lead singer of Brother Clyde, the man really behind the project, and is getting ready to take it out on the road. And I believe you and I are going to see each other out at Sturgis. Please welcome to the program, Billy Ray Cyrus. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, and I get so excited to talk about Sturgis and just being there with all of our brothers and hearing those bikes roar and hearing those amplifiers roar. It's going to be a great time to rock and roll.
Well, you know what? And this will come as a surprise to absolutely nobody that listens to this program, but this song was first sent to me about 6-8 weeks ago by our mutual brother, Jesse James Dupree. And he said, I want you to hear this, and I want you to tell me what you think. I'm not going to tell you who it is. And I told him, I said, it's a fantastic song. You got to tell me. He wouldn't tell me for a little while. And then he told me kind of what everybody was doing as a way to roll out the band, and I started reading more about what was going on. It's a really cool story, man. I mean, everybody obviously knows you for what they know you for, and you got a kid who's doing pretty well for themselves, if I'm not mistaken. But this project seems to be releasing the inner rock star for Billy Ray Cyrus, man. So talk a little bit about how it all came together and what's going on.
Well, you know, long story short, I did grow up there in the Ohio River Valley, and just grew up listening to a lot of rock and roll, and from Molly Hatchet, Leonard Skinner to Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, and it played an important part of my life. I've always loved to rock, and I went to do this movie over a year ago called Christmas in Canaan, and it filmed in Vancouver. And long story short, I met a young kid up there that was making some music that was more along the veins of Alice in Chains meets Nirvana. We just started writing some songs together and recording, and kind of came up with our own sound, and that became Brother Clyde.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was Joe Tancredi, is that right? Is that his name?
Morris Tancredi.
Oh, Morris. I thought it was Joseph. But he worked kind of on the production of the movie with you, and you just struck up the conversation. But is he the primary writer for Lately, the one that we just heard?
Yes, he is. He's a great writer. And when I heard Lately, I was like, the demo, he was asking me, like, well, what are you doing now? And I played him the first song I had recorded for Brother Clyde was called "You Better Run or You're Gonna Crawl." Have you heard "Crawl" yet?
I don't have this is the only one I've gotten. I'm waiting to get the full length. That's killing me. I want to hear the whole thing.
Oh, thank you. I'm anxious for you to hear "Crawl." It's definitely got that. I don't know. That again, back to the Ohio River Valley and the railroads and just that vibe of the 70s there, growing up in that area. It's just all of those influences are in "Crawl." And long story short, he said, "What are you doing?" I played him "Crawl," and he said, "Man, I got some stuff you got to hear, man. We're kind of along the same lines," and it just fit when we started talking about music.
And did I read? I think I just read. Now, "Crawl." Somebody said it has like a little Jane's Addiction vibe to it. Can that be right, or is that how you hear it?
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's a bit of that Jane's Addiction meets for that one, I think Led Zeppelin.
Right on, right. And for those who just tuned in, Billy Ray Cyrus, he's the front man and the man behind Brother Clyde. Now, the formation, the original idea for the band had a kind of a different lineup set up for it, didn't it? In fact, a guy who barged into this studio one day and kind of took over, John Waite, stepped in here and he took over. But I mean, this kind of was a brainchild you guys had early on, and then schedules didn't allow for. So it's interesting how it all came together into the current lineup. And speaking to that, a lot of people want to know how you got down and dirty to do all that rapping on this on lately. But then I had to tell them, well, that wasn't Billy Ray right there. I hope I didn't blow you out of the water on that.
No. I met this kid in Vancouver. His name's King Faze,
right.
And he's a kid. I just believed in him and thought he just had a unique sound, and certainly he was good at rapping. I'm certainly not very good at it, but the two seem to really fit together well.
Well, I tell you something, it's really cool, and I think one of the things that I'm most anxious to hear when the whole record comes out, because we're looking at August 10th release date, just right at the time when you guys are going to be blowing up Sturgis for the 70th anniversary of the big Sturgis rally. But you and Dolly Parton tearing it up in a rock and roll song.
I've got to hear this because I love Dolly Parton.
Oh, me too. And I've always, I've seen Dolly do a lot of musical styles, but I've never seen her do this one. And this particular song is a little bit of, well, maybe a lot of AC/DC meets kind of a Bryan Adams feel.
Right.
And Dolly, it was something that we were doing for one of the final episodes of Hannah Montana, and the writers asked me if I could write a song for it, and I really didn't think I could. I didn't think I could write anything that positive. Most of the songs you hear on Brother Clyde are pretty dark and heavy, but this thing just came to me. It's called Feels Like the Right Time, and I rocked it pretty hard, and Dolly, when she heard it, she said, I want to rock. And she came to the studio once and sang a vocal and a couple harmonies, and 2 days later while we were filming, she said, you know what? She said, I've been listening to what I did, and she said, I really want to rock. She said, I want to rock like Brother Clyde rocks. I want to be Sister Clyde. And she said, I'll come back to the studio if you'll let me do that thing that you're doing on there. I said, well, come on, sure, it'd be fun. And she came in and just all of a sudden turned into Tina Turner for a minute. She just rocked it.
Right on. Now, she didn't show up empty-handed, though, from what I understand. What she